Welcome to the Cavelero Mid-High School Class of 2025 registration presentation. Now, this is a review of a presentation that was presented to students on Thursday, March 12th at Northlake, and I believe Wednesday, March 11th at LSMS. It will be a condensed version, but one thing before I get into here I want to make clear is all students need to register by the end of the day, Thursday, March 19th. And please register for next year, even if you're moving or might not attend Cavelero. There's some advantages there. What you don't want to have happen is your plans change and not be registered. Or if you move away, many schools will look at your existing schedule and accommodate accordingly. So we want all students to register. And before I go into the details, you can find all of this information on the Cavelero website. And I'll show you where you can find that in a moment. And here is the information. You can contact the main office, but most importantly, the counseling center number is there, and the counselors are listed by alphabetical last name student. What I mean by that is Mr. Radford has all students with last names A through GO. Mr. Reeves has all of the students GR through O, and Ms. Thomas has all of the students P through Z. So you want to contact those counselors directly with questions. They are ready and available to help you. So I'm going to hop over to the Cavelero website and show you where this is before we go into the details of your choices. So I'm at any Lake Stevens School District website. This happens to be the main site. And in the upper right-hand corner of each school's website, where it says Our Schools, we want to choose Cavelero Mid-High School. Once we're there, we want to click on the Counseling tab. And once we're in the Counseling tab, we have a lot of information, and this is important information that you can access at any time, but we're going to go to the menu on the left and click on the Course Planning Guide. And what you want to notice here are these are links to all the materials I'm going to present to you right now. There's the Course Planning Guide, which is the handout that students received in class, the booklet. And then what you also need to know is the class of 2024 are the 9th graders. Or incoming 9th graders, so 8th graders registering for 9th grade, and class of 2025 are current 7th graders registering for 8th graders. And there's a student presentation as well as a parent presentation, and you can look at those to see the differences. There are also forms down below that you want to pay attention to. So if you missed any high cap presentations, they're there. 8th grade leadership, so that's for incoming 8th graders that want to be in leadership. This is a form that it's PDF. You're going to print it out, fill it in, do the necessary steps in the application, and then contact the school about how they're going to collect those. I'm sure there will be information coming out soon on how they're going to do that. And then there's also a link to a registration form that will be on here, and I will show you what that form looks like in a moment. Cavelero has a mission statement of ensuring academic success through positive relationships in the classroom, school, and community. They present to you the graduation requirements because you are now getting at the age and the education level where you're earning credits. You technically, if you took algebra this year as a 7th grader, you were earning possible high school credits as well. So since you're getting there, they want to make clear what the expectations are for your class of 2025 because you want to start planning a little bit long term. Graduation requirements break down like this. I won't go over them. You're welcome to pause this or just access the slideshow directly from the website so you can look at each screen individually. They go over with the kids how the 24 credits play out, and basically the theme there is, look, you have 24 classes to attend during your 4 years of high school. You need to earn all 24 credits. So passing courses is extremely important. Personal pathways. We review with students what your possible futures might look like and how you would go about planning for those in terms of courses. This covers possible costs of choices down the road in terms of education and what class sequences you might take. It's also emphasized that beginning your freshman year, you will start to track your personal pathway online. And it's this site they call My School Data, and you'll get more information on that. But get used to the idea that you're going to track things online. They give you an example of an 8th grade student. You have 6 periods in the day divided into 2 semesters. Each semester receives half a credit. for a total in your 8th grade year of 6 possible credits. There are links to the course planning guide and the class registration form at the bottom, and I'll go ahead and show you what that form looks like really quick. We'll come back to it in a minute, but that scheduling form is a precursor to actually registering on Skyward. In other words, you would fill this out and submit it, and then actually pull in your classes on Family Access, and we'll do that in a few minutes. Cavelero scheduling directions. You receive these directions in class. If you weren't in class, they might have been made available to you at your school's office, but also, again, online on the Cavelero Counseling website. This explains to you how to do that. Things I'll just point out here, making sure you're logged into your Google account. The reason why, and I'm going to pop back to that form really quick, is this form says at the top, we are collecting your email address. This is how we identify who you are and connect it with the name that you type in. So it's really important that you're logged into your Google account and not somebody else's. So as you go through each of the steps, to the link on the Cavelero webpage or the form, this shows you how to register. In step 2, they cover the Skyward registration, how to actually go into using Family Access and pull over the classes that you want to submit for consideration for next year. And I'm going to put that in a separate video. So filling out the form and registering for the class is a separate video. If you don't need to go through the next few screens as to what pathways you might take and what courses, and you know that information already, or you can just read it and don't want it in video, just jump right to the next video and we'll walk you through that. Here's some example pathways. The standard pathway for English is you are going to enter 8th grade English and then 9th grade English and 10th grade English and 11th grade English. But some of you are going to enter Challenge, or you're already in Challenge, and that will put you ahead a year. And so the Challenge pathway, you're going to choose Challenge 8 next year if it's appropriate, and then pre-AP, and then you have choices of down the road, your junior year, whether you want to enter the AP pathway. Math, you are already on the course that you're on. Last year as a 6th grader, the course you were in, set in stone your path. If you're at grade level, you are going to register for Math 8 and then Algebra and Geometry, and then you have choices down the road. If you're in the Challenge pathway, depending on whether you are taking pre-Algebra now, that means you would register for Algebra next year, and then Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, and then your choice at the end. If you are 2 years ahead, in other words, you're taking Algebra as a 7th grader, you're going to register for Geometry, then Algebra 2, and then Pre-Calc down the road. Science pathways. For the first time, you have the option to enter a Challenge Science pathway. So most students are going to go through and register 8th grade Science, and then the Physical Science, and then Conceptual Sciences, or Chemistry or Biology. If you're going to choose the Challenge pathway, what you need to know is Challenge is both 8th and 9th grade combined in 1 year. So same material, condensed. Then you're going to move on your freshman year to biology and then chemistry. So you're going to gain a year in that sequence. History, standard, is integrated Washington, U.S. state mandatory classes. And then your freshman year, there's nothing dedicated there for you. And then you can take modern world history and U.S. history and some other histories down the road if you're interested. But if you're challenged, you're going to take integrated Washington next year as well. And then it's your freshman year that you will do the pre-AP history elective. And so next year, everybody's automatically in integrated Washington U.S. history. And that is why when you see on the form, there's no choice. You're all taking that class. World language. This can get a little more complicated depending on what your future plans are. So think about what you want to do. College in the high school, credits in high school, you have to take a certain number of consecutive classes in a row. And so there's a balance between where you want to receive high school credit and where you might not receive high school credit. So I encourage you to do your homework. I can't really give you much advice here other than look at your pathway, look at what your pathway requires, and then decide when you need or want to get into the world language arena. This is a video. I'm not going to play the video. Basically, we're showing a short clip on what leadership class, kind of a little advertisement for leadership class, followed by a little advertisement or recruitment video for art class and what it entails. Flight and space, another elective. If you're interested in engineering or anything around flight and space, this might be a class for you. Robotics and automation is another class. Lake Stevens, Cavelero is known for their robotics program, multiple state championships. It's a top-notch program, and if you're interested in that, it just elevates your robotic skills. There is also art classes and manufacturing tech classes. You need to look through your course catalog because the electives are spread out depending on what department they fall under. And if you're in 8th grade, make sure you focus on just the 8th grade section of electives. You don't try to register for a high school freshman elective. Possible places where you can earn high school credit in 7th or 8th grade. In other words, before you officially get to high school. If you take or have taken any of these classes, they can go on your high school transcript. And if you don't know what a transcript is, it is the record of the classes you took and the grades that you received that actually goes on to colleges for admittance purposes. So Algebra 1 is a high school credit, as is geometry, as is Challenge Science because of the 9th grade science part, as well as Challenge English 8 because of the 9th grade English part. Spanish elective can be a credit. Washington State History is half a credit. Band can earn a credit, as can choir. Other things you need to know, if you do sign up for a high school credit class, Algebra, Geometry, Algebra 2, there are summer academies. There's information that you can find on Cavelero's website as to when those occur, usually in August. But sometime during the summer, there's a couple weeks where you go in and they warm you back up to mathematics that are necessary for the class. Please, especially if you're free and reduced lunch, college-bound scholarship, if you qualify financially, be sure to look into that. Great way to pay for college. Also, talk to the kids about finishing 7th grade strong with grades and test scores. That is used to decide course placement in 8th grade. So that SBA test, those ELA, whatever acronym they want to give and whatever year we're in, those scores matter. They also offer lunch tutoring and study corral for academic support. There are world language testing options. If you are fluent in all aspects of another language, you can actually test to get credit for that class without taking it. There is a fee, I was told $50 plus 4 or 5 hours of your time to demonstrate your proficiency. And again, notice you should see a Cavelero mid-high counselor for that. And that in 8th grade, you take the Washington Science Assessment added to your SBAs that you normally take in language arts and math as well. Lots of clubs. Cavelero is proud of the long list of clubs that they offer. And so you can look through the list and see what interests you. But also note that if you have an idea for a club you don't see there and you can find 8 to 10 kids and an advisor, a staff member willing to supervise, you can add a club to this list. It is not set in stone, and it changes from year to year. Sports, of interest to many students, interscholastic activities that you can do in 8th grade. It is like 7th grade. It's a 4-sport season. The sports are offered at the same sequence they were in middle school. So quarter 1, football, softball, cross country. Quarter 2, boys basketball and volleyball. Quarter 3, girls basketball and wrestling. And then in the spring, quarter 4, track and field. They do want you to know that your grades impact your fall eligibility. You have to have a GPA of 1.7 and not failing 2 or more classes to be eligible. Otherwise, you miss the first 6 weeks of the season. You can practice, but no participation in games. If you have 1 failing class, you're on probation at any point. If you fall below that, you are put on that 6-week list as well. So finish this year strong. It affects the fall. They do throw in here 9th grade simply so you understand that as an 8th grader, you do not compete against 9th graders. 9th graders is officially WAA high school sports. They have different sports seasons, different sequence of sports, and so that's not available to you, nor do you have to worry about competing against those older kids. They finish with, are you eligible for the college-bound scholarship? This can be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you do qualify or you're not sure if you qualify, check with counselors, okay? At the schools you're at now, North Lake, Lake Stevens Middle School, talk to your counselors, find out more, and if you are, get signed up and do what you need to do. So that concluded the presentation. Again, I'll follow up with a second video on the actual registration process.